I recently read Forrest Gump by Winston Groom, and then I watched the 1994 movie Forrest Gump, directed by Robert Zemeckis, starring Tom Hanks. Both follow the life of a simple, kind-hearted man from Alabama who has the mental capacity of a child. And as you learn along the way in both the book and the movie, his life is quite unique. This video will contain minor spoilers about both the book and the movie, so if you haven't read the book or seen the movie, you've seen the movie. If you haven't read the book though, go read it and come back and watch this video. Okay, full disclosure, I first saw this movie when I was young. This movie is special to me. It's near and dear to my heart. It's one of those cornerstone movies from your childhood that just sticks with you for the rest of your life. So I was actually pretty surprised with just how different this book and this movie are from one another. The book, Forrest Gump by Winston Groom, was published in 1986, 8 years before the movie came out. It is written in the first-person perspective, from the perspective of Forrest, and it's very stream of consciousness. So there's a lot of rambling, run-on sentences because it's Forrest telling you his story in his own words. And because of that, there's a lot of spelling errors in his writing because he is of below average intelligence. But one thing that distinguishes the book from the movie is in the book, he is considered what is known as an idiot savant, meaning he has a below average mental capacity, but he has rare pockets of brilliance. Meaning, for example, in the book, he's a genius in math. One of the most interesting things to me about the movie Forrest Gump, especially after reading the book, is this movie does something that is almost unheard of in cinema. This movie takes the side characters from the book, Jenny, Mama, Lieutenant Dan, Bubba, and it gives them more background, more heart, more lines of dialogue, more direct action. It's usually the opposite, right? So a movie, that you get a lot more character development and story in a book, and then because, you're trying to fit it for time, a 2-hour movie, a lot from the book gets left on the cutting room floor, and you don't get as much character development in the movie. It's the opposite with this. For example, Jenny and Forrest in the book don't even meet each other until high school. And if you've seen the movie, you know that they meet as very young children on the school bus in this precious scene.
I had never seen anything so beautiful in my life.
But you also end up learning in the movie that Jenny had an alcoholic, abusive father that she lived with in this rundown shack, and she desperately wanted to get away from that. None of that backstory is in the book. The screenplay was written by Eric Roth, and he won an Oscar for this adapted screenplay, and deservedly so, because he took all the good parts of the book and expanded on them in the movie, and then left out all the crazy, silly, ridiculous things that happen in the book. And there's some pretty crazy stuff that happens in the book. In the book, Forrest ends up getting a job with NASA and goes to space with an orangutan. He becomes a professional wrestler called the Dunce, who dresses up like a big baby. He meets Raquel Welch while auditioning for a movie, and she ends up naked on Sunset Boulevard, and he ends up in jail. Those are just a few examples of some of the things that they decided to leave out of the movie. And I think they made the right choice, because those parts of the book, I remember reading it and being like, this is ridiculous. And it is. I will say, the book is a fun read, and it made me giggle on several occasions. But the movie wisely leaves those crazy things out, and it makes for a much more realistic, dramatic, grounded film. All right, I want to say just a few more things about the movie before I wrap this up. The special effects in this movie are phenomenal. It won the Oscar for Best Visual Effects, and I can totally see why, because watching this movie, I remember being mesmerized by the effects when I first saw it as a kid. And now, 20 plus years later, the effects still hold up, especially the Vietnam sequence. Holy cow. The whole sequence in Vietnam, especially when the fighting happens, is incredible. I will say this, Forrest Gump is a very underrated Vietnam War movie. I know maybe only 10 or 15 minutes of the entire movie take place in Vietnam, but that 10 or 15 minutes is just as good, if not better, than any other full-length Vietnam War movie that I've ever seen. Tom Hanks is perfect. His performance in this movie, I mean, he won the Oscar for Best Actor. He deserved it 10 times over. His performance in two scenes in particular, for me at least, the scene where he finds out for the first time that he is a dad, the emotion on his face is so touching.
Is he smart?
He's very smart. He's one of the smartest in his class.
And then, of course, the gut punch at the end of the movie when he is talking to Jenny at her gravesite.
I miss you, Jenny.
All right, if you haven't guessed, Forrest Gump is one of my favorite movies of all time. And I enjoyed reading the book. I really did. Like I said, it was fun and it made me laugh. But without a doubt, the movie Forrest Gump is better than the book. I want to hear from you. Have you read the book or seen the movie? Comment below, tell me your thoughts. And if you liked this video, please do me a favor, click like, subscribe to my channel, and make sure you click that little bell thingy. See you later.